Okay, so yeah, it's finally out, and I'm so happy that it is. Choujin X. Yeah, this is a manga that I've been looking forward to for quite a long time. Ever since I've heard about it in the grapevine, and it's finally come out. And why I'm so excited about this is because Choujin X is by Sui Ishida, the author of the famous Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul RE series. And for anybody who has watched my Tokyo Ghoul videos, you know that I am an avid fan of that series, and that franchise has become one of my favorite manga series of the modern times. And so when I heard about Sui Ishida coming out with yet another series, I was really excited about it. Not only because it is a new series by Sui Ishida, but because of the fact that Sui Ishida is writing mangas again, which I find is wonderful. You see, Sui Ishida, when he started writing Tokyo Ghoul, really enjoyed it, just like any other mangaka that comes out. It's a work coming from their heart. And so when he started writing Tokyo Ghoul, he was really enthusiastic about it. By the time he got to Tokyo Ghoul RE, the very end, from what I hear, he was so burnt out over the schedules and the depth of the story and all this, that he really had to stop writing that series. And so the ending that we got at the very end of Tokyo Ghoul RE, many fans may say was a little bit disappointing because it didn't go into the depth and tie up many of the loose ends the way we expected it to. It was a little bit more abrupt. But considering what we knew about why Sui Ishida needed to do that, I don't think anybody really blamed the author for the situation. And so now that he's back to enjoying writing comics again, I am very happy to see that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Sui Ishida does with Choujin X. Now, what's interesting is, from what I hear, Choujin X is not going to be a weekly manga. I'm not sure if it's even going to be a monthly manga. From what I hear, he has made a deal with Shueisha that he will be bringing out chapters whenever he feels like it. So it may be large gaps between the chapters, but to be honest, if that keeps him from burning out and if that keeps his creativity up high, then I will be happy that he brings it out. Now, as far as the story is concerned, it's a very interesting one. We only have one chapter so far. And of course, the first chapter is a setup chapter. We're trying to find out what the story is about. And like the title says, the story is about Choujins. Now, Choujin in Japanese means superhuman. So you can understand that this is a superhuman story. But as you can tell, I didn't say it's a superhero story. You see, the superhumans in this manga series doesn't really act like heroes, but they respond the way you would expect people with superpowers to respond in reality. If people had that sort of capability that gave them that much more advantage over the regular population, they wouldn't leverage it for the people. They would exploit it to control people. And that's what you find out in this comic series. Most of the Choujin are not heroes. They're criminals. And so the world is trying to figure out how to deal with them. And the chapter introduces all that right from the very beginning when we meet this character, this really young, cute girl that comes out, who seems to be the main character. And what we find out is about a few pages into the comic. No, it's a Sui Ishida trolling situation when he pulls the rug under you and you find out that that's not the main character at all. And then you're finally introduced to the main characters. I'm not sure if there's two main characters or if there's one main character and one very important supporting character. From what it seems like, it may be the latter because they're focusing on one of the two characters more. But the two characters that come out are really close friends. Their names are Tokyo and Azuma. And if there is to be a main character, it may be Tokyo, according to chapter 1, because we're really focusing a lot more attention to his life rather than Azuma. And what's interesting is this is one of those situations where you have one guy who seems to be a little bit calm and collected, and the other guy who's this energetic, dynamic personality who is very powerful at fighting, right? You always have the kind of weaker guy and then the really strong guy. But the funny thing about this story is the really strong guy looks like a nerd. Azuma, with glasses and this kind of mushroom haircut, is the really strong guy. And the other guy, who looks a little bit more chill, is kind of the weak dude. And those two together seem to go out on an adventure trying to be kind of the local heroes. So they go around trying to solve problems and capture people who are kind of oppressing others. And we learn about that right from this chapter, when a certain incident occurs and these two go in to solve it. And from there we find out that yes, Azuma is a very strong fighter for a regular human, and he can literally take people down relatively quickly. He is also, unlike his appearance, very energetic and very outgoing, so it's really hard to keep that guy in one place. And Tokyo often has a hard time controlling or making sure that Azuma is kind of not wreaking havoc everywhere. Now, as we keep on going, we find out that at least certain superhumans are getting their powers artificially. And if there's an easy way of saying it, I would say that it's kind of this manga's equivalent of the devil fruits in One Piece. And so there seems to be various different powers that you could get if you get this super serum. And we see, for example, one of these characters who Azuma originally beats up because he's a thug, receive one of these serums, and he turns into what I would say is this manga's equivalent of somebody who got the gum gum fruit. So he gets elastic powers just like Luffy, but unlike Luffy, he is of course just a thug. And so this goes into kind of a revenge part at the latter part of the story. And this, of course, opens up a situation where out of necessity, the two friends decide that they will also take serums so that they can somehow take down these Choujins. So they will become Choujins themselves. And the chapter ends in a very interesting way in that we learn about one of the characters, what powers they get. But in any case, this opens up a very interesting story in that this is about superhumans and about their story. And if we know anything about Tokyo Ghoul, this will introduce more and more Choujins as we come along, and that will probably create tremendously numerous factions that will create the politics of this world. And if, again, Tokyo Ghoul is a good example of what we can expect from Choujin X, this is going to go into deep, dark parts of the story where there is a tremendous amount of human trauma. With that comes a tremendous amount of human courage and a tremendous amount of sympathy and empathy. And that is what I'm looking for. I love those types of stories. You see that in stories like Battle Angel Alita. You see that in stories like Soloist in the Cage. And I am looking forward to that in Choujin X. But in any case, yeah, I'm really happy that Sui Ishida is writing again. And I would more than recommend anybody to go take a look at the first chapter. And I'll continue to bring out more videos as Sui Ishida brings out more chapters. I hope you join me at that time. But until then, yeah, happy manga reading. And as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.